today is all about play schools. When is your toddler ready, and what are the different philosophies and teaching methods used to help your little one learn through play and eventually become ready for big school? Sadly, many South African children don't have much of a choice, but there are initiatives to change that and bring play schools closer to all children. In studio, we have educational psychologist Fatima Adam and education consultant Elsie Karlitz, and now we say hello to Robin Wienand, founder of Play with a Purpose. Robin, tell me about Play with a Purpose.
Play with a Purpose is a unique child development program. It started in my lounge for my own daughter. So it was really a hands-on approach of where I had to find out what really worked and what didn't. And the more I did research, the more I came up with a program that worked for me and for many others, as I'll talk about shortly. It is an approach that goes back to basically how God made a child. It looks at the brain profile. It looks at the different learning styles of the children and what actually stimulates them and makes them feel loved within a preschool so that we can get best brain development out of the children.
So what made you start it? What was it that you felt was lacking around you, that you felt you needed to add to it?
One of the big things was children play. They really do need to play. Play is the most important thing. Where I came from and looking at the brain profiles is looking at the different children. Some of them didn't want to play with certain toys. And looking further on in life, we had to have a look and see, well, they needed to do that. So we're looking at things like if you're left eye dominant or right eye dominant, actually dictates whether you are going to read right to left or left to right. So a lot of what we did with Play with a Purpose was initially we developed educational toys. We also do preschool teacher training, and now we're actually taking those preschool principles and developing preschools wherever we can.
Now this is what I want to talk to you about. How are you managing that? Especially with the amount of resources that we have in this country. Not everybody, I mean, preschools can start at 600 Rand and go up to 2,000. How are you taking it
to everybody?
Into the community? Yes.
Absolutely. The first point is that I really passionately believe in is never to get expense mixed up with education. You can have fantastic education taking place under a tree, in a container. It's what happens in that place that is so important. And what we're doing is as Play with a Purpose, we partner with anybody, whether it's an NGO, whether it's a businesswoman, a private individual, to actually train them up in the program that we have to actually bring that school close to the children. It's a duplicatable program that we have.
So actually, literally, play schools could go as deep into the community as was community members willing.
As the community members want to do it. We've got affluent preschools, which I think is the proof of the pudding.
Yes.
But my passion really is to have a preschool within walking distance of every child in this country.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful?
And that is what we are working towards.
Francis is on the line from Durban. Hi, Francis.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, you sound very worried. What can we help you with?
Good morning, ladies. I'm actually the grandmother.
Okay.
I have a 3.5-year-old grandchild, a little girl. They live in Bloemfontein at the moment, but they're being transferred down to Durban, and we're finding it very difficult to find an Afrikaans preschool in Durban. How disruptive would it be to that child to put her into an English school?
Well, let me start. Fatima, let me ask you, how difficult would that be?
Well, you know, I think the first thing to consider in this case for Francis is to see the level of development of English of this child, number one. Because sometimes it may not be the worst thing on earth to put a child in an English medium school. If the child's been exposed to it, it shouldn't be that much of a problem, provided that the environment is still structured, the child feels safe, the child can still socialize with the other children, it should be fine.
Francis, I hope you're still there, because we're going to give you tickets to the Baby Expo in Durban, whether or not you take them or whether your daughter takes them. They are amazing, those Baby Expos, so you can go and you'll certainly pick up some good presents, I promise you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for your program.
Absolute pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Elsie, you must know about Robin's Play with a Purpose. Play schools for everyone. Is play school merely a luxury? Should it be a child's right?
Absolutely not. It is the right of every child to play. It is the way children learn. I think the important thing is training. I mean, I've devoted my life to training, and I'm still training. 80% of the people out there working with young children are not trained. And they work with children the way they were worked with when they were children or when they went to school. So we are actually perpetuating good habits, but also perpetuating bad habits. And the fact is, if we talk about a very rapidly developing brain, we should do the right thing. So no, playing is very important. One thing that I want to add is that if we talk about discipline, what makes discipline easy for children is if you give them choices. If you give a child a choice, it's easier to do the right thing.
Yes.
Because it then fits with what I want to do. And of course children must have rules, but within those rules there must be freedom of choices. And this means we've got to provide for those choices.
So if I've got a 2.5-year-old, which coincidentally I have, how give me an example of how you would give her choices.
Okay. A daily program starts in the morning with a morning ring. Hello, how are you? What did you do at home? Then your playroom would be set out in a art area, block area, fantasy area, playing with sensory equipment. In the 2.5-year-old, your sensory development is still very important. So there would be maybe a container with millie meal or rice or something like that. And the children would have the freedom to go where they want to go. We often say that young children, especially that age, have a very short attention span, but that's not true. They move from the one activity to the other activity, but they do that because the brain says, hey, there's some other things to do. Let me go and look at the other things. And then they will always sometimes come back to what interests them the most. So you have, with a 2.5-year-old, you have like a cyclical pattern, almost going and coming back and going and coming back. And children of that age need to explore. They make certain discoveries. They need to explore again. They make certain discoveries. So they need repetition. The brain is formed by repetition. So that's how that program would look. And we produce some fantastic 2.5-year-olds.
Me too.
Yes.
Robin, an SMS I'd like you to handle. My son is almost 4 and he's asked me to go to school. Is this a sign for us that he's ready to go to preschool? It's anonymous from Thunderbale Park. I think as parents, we're so scared to put them in an environment where we are not.
It's a difficult question to actually answer without seeing the child.
Yes.
But generally, yes, a 4-year-old is ready for play school.
Is it too late? In an ideal world.
In an ideal world, it is too late if the parents have not been stimulating the child at home. A child needs to be stimulated from the time they are born right up until the parents let them go. But I think an important point to just mention is the fact that it's still always the parents' responsibility to bring up their child. It is not something they're going to give to a preschool.
Fatima, I could see you wanted to say something there.
You know, I agree with Robin saying that a child needs to be stimulated, but one needs to bear in mind, for example, with the person who sent the SMS, if your child's been at home and being stimulated and being provided with appropriate activities, it shouldn't be a problem.
We're back after the break when we find out how to assess a potential play school practically and decide if its teaching philosophy matches your child's needs. Call us on 0115379332 or SMS us on 34970. Today we're talking about finding the perfect play school for your toddler. We understand how to assess a child's readiness and what different types of play schools are available, but how do you choose? There are many practical issues you should be considering too. Our guests are educational psychologist Fatima Adam, early education specialist Robin Wieland and Dr. Elsie College. She's the former head of the Association of Education and Care of Younger Children. Robin, there are some vital questions parents should ask before they put their child in a preschool, or a play school, or a creche, whatever you want to call it, but a place of education for a child pre-big school. What are we looking at? Let's start with something like security.
Absolutely. You need to look at the security of your preschool. You need to look, what are the children signed in? Are they signed out? Is there a register for them? Are you looking at the first aid? Do the teachers have a first aid certificate? Are they trained in that? We need to see that there's correct hygiene in the school. All the soft things that you may not look at beforehand. You need to look at the teachers themselves. I really believe you need to see if that teacher loves the children. As Elsie said earlier, is there love for those children? Because if you haven't got love, you might as well not go there at all.
Accreditation, do you have a right to ask for that?
Accreditation, ask who's backing them up. Where did they get their training from? What program do they follow? Very, very important to look at that. Are they registered?
Are you allowed to ask about qualifications?
Yes, of course. Do ask about the qualifications. And bearing in mind that all of this is done from where you as a parent are coming from. Do you actually like what they're saying? Very important. Ask about discipline. What discipline method do they use? Maybe it's something completely different to what you want your child to have.
Child-teacher ratio?
Child-teacher ratio. There are legal obligations there, but a good rule of thumb is you should have one adult for every 16 children. If you're going much higher than that, you've actually got a system where your child isn't being monitored, their potential isn't being realized properly.
Would you be interested in the length of time the institution has been going, the teacher has been teaching?
That all depends upon what is backing that teacher.
Okay.
In our organization, we have teachers who are opening up a school for the first time, but we bring the experience to back that teacher up.
So you know there is there's some responsibility, there's some expectation that will be met.
Absolutely.
What about things like operating hours, flexibility if a child is tired?
Very important to look at that. Children are individuals. Do the operating hours actually work for you? How long do the children actually spend in a classroom as opposed to running around outside? Is there space outside for the child to play? Is there space inside? Sometimes you go into a school and the chairs are almost stacked on top of each other and the child can't even move. Look at things like that. Don't be scared of asking to look around the school. Look in every nook and cranny that they've got there. Check what they're actually like and ask other parents, how do they feel about their child?
A lot of parents, and I mean, I'm not one of them, as you may have realized, but a lot of parents are embarrassed to do that sort of thing. They go in, it looks nice, it seems to be clean. They don't want to poke around too much, and the teacher actually discourages that. What would you do in that situation?
I really believe a school should be as open as possible. Maybe you can't just pitch up on their doorstep and say, I'm going to come and look at your school, but the principle should be every school should be open to inspection at any time. There should be absolutely nothing to hide in any school.
And you have the right to ask all of these questions?
Absolutely, you have a right to ask, and I expect that any person who's within Play with a Purpose or any of the other schools, a good principal, a good teacher will have the right answers for you.
What about things like, and this is less to do with education but more to do with child safety, procedures regarding an emergency or accepting children who come to school sick? Would you have a right to ask about that sort of thing?
Absolutely. Those are covered by legislation as well.
Really?
Where you shouldn't be able to bring a sick child to school. There are also different things like look at the nutrition that is happening in a school.
The feeding scheme.
Because sometimes what is happening on the menu is actually not what is happening in the actual school. You need to look there, you need to check it out. Is it food that is available for all children? Will they cater for your child's particular needs? If not, can you bring your own food instead? What do you actually look at? Is it healthy food?
We're going to make sure that we get all these questions up on the website for you because that was an awful lot to take in. It was an awful lot to remember. So we'll make sure we get all those details up for you. Nokubonga's on the line from Durban. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Okay, hello.
What can we do for you?
I wanted to find out, I just want some advice from the consultant that side. My son, he's about 6.5. He goes to care-based daycare at Pine Town. Okay. But he's suffering from speech problem because he's stuttering. But his teacher told me that he's not emotionally ready to go to a big school, but because of his age, he's going to have to go because he's struggling with his numbers and letters. And then when he finds difficulties, or maybe when he can't do something, he gets it emotionally. What can I do to boost his confidence? And I'm a bit nervous for him to go into a big school next year.
Look, Bonga, I want you to stay on the line. We're going to give you those tickets for the Baby Expo. Elsie, I could see you nodding there. Have you got some advice for her?
very difficult to, at this stage of the year, make a child emotionally ready for next year.
Yeah.
I think let's talk about how does a child become emotionally ready. A child becomes emotionally ready by being able to trust myself. In other words, my self-confidence when I am not subjected to scrutiny, when I feel that I have approval from my parents, from the people around me, that makes also if a child is not scared to make a mistake. And that is part of how we raise children. If we overemphasize the mistakes instead of, that's all right, what did you learn from that mistake? Very important.
And yet it sounds to me like there might be something more going on there, Fatima.
You know, emotional maturity, if the child has to go because of the child's chronological age into school, I think look at what can be done to support that child, knowing that the child has to go into the schooling system, number one. Number two, she mentioned something about speech.
Yes, speech impediment.
I would look at speech and hearing therapy if need be. So I would suggest have the child assessed, check the hearing development, because that influences language development and in turn influences emotional development.
Robin, would you like to add to that? I saw you nodding frantically.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's absolutely critical that that child gets completely assessed by professionals before they actually put that child into school to set it up for whatever's coming to it. Yeah.
We're back after the break when we guide you on finding top play schools in your area and give you the golden rules in your hunt for a perfect play school. Call us on 011 537 9332 or SMS us on 34970. A reminder of our topic, finding the perfect play school. We're going to get the top tips on play schools now with our education specialists, Robin Wienand, Fatima Adam and Dr. Elsie Carlos. But before we do that, you've all sent in loads and loads of questions. We'll try and get through as many as we can. I have a 2-month-old girl. I'm returning to work in December and I am not sure if I should put her in a nursery as she is so young. Is it okay to do so? That's Tanya from Joburg. A problem, Fatima, a lot of mothers face. There is no choice.
Well, I think, you know, if you have no choice, go through the questions that have been discussed in the previous interview to look for a suitable environment and to see if the type of environment required for a 2-month-old would be provided. And if that is it and if it meets all the requirements, then you got to do what you got to do and then go ahead.
Will the little one be okay? If there's love, if she's safe, if she's fed properly, will she be okay?
Yes.
I think that's Tanya's issue. My son is 2. He also always bites his brother. Do you think I should put him in a preschool? I am afraid he may bite the other children. That's Loretta from Durban. Elsie, you're laughing. You've clearly seen this before.
Biting children, I mean, 2 years old is like the pinnacle for biting. Biting, often more boys, often because their language development is not as fluent as little girls. And let me tell you, I always tell my staff, you've got to watch out. But it's like a snake. It's like, whoops, and it's there.
But would you stop him going to school?
No.
No.
He must get along, and I think there is, you know, a way that if other people say you may not do this, it carries much more weight than when your mother says
it.
Yeah.
My little one is getting rude at home. She was in a play school, but I took her out because she fights with other children. What can I do? That's from a single mom in PE. I throw that back to you, Fatima.
Okay, I think firstly, taking her out of school because she's getting into too many fights, maybe you need to review the decision perhaps. If she's getting into too many fights, let's rather teach her conflict resolution, teach her how to manage herself, why you're getting into too many fights, deal with the emotions and what's causing it. Removing her from school is almost like saying, you haven't been a good girl, so I'm removing something that is you entitled to.
My 2-year-old baby girl is happier playing with other kids than just watching TV the whole day. My hubby says I'm just lazy when I suggest play school. How can I convince him? That's from Stacey. Robin.
Well, a child cannot learn secondhand through a TV set. So
however much they try.
They definitely need to be in a concrete environment with children around them where they can feel, touch, interact. Your negotiation skills start in the sandpit. Where can I have your bucket? No, you can't. Yes, please, if I give you the spade. Things like that, which you cannot get in a home environment.
Hi, my son is 9 months. I just enrolled him in a play school. Is it a wise decision? That's from Yolandi.
9 months is not a good age.
Is it not?
Because 9 months is the start of separation anxiety.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
At around about 9 months, and it's up there till 18 months. So if you want to enroll a child before that time or after that time.
So before 9 months or after 18
That's
months.
right.
So if she has got the luxury of being able to keep him at home, rather keep him at home till 18
Exactly.
months.
Exactly.
My daughter's 16 months old. Is she ready for preschool? Same in Untitled, and same story really.
Well,
Wait another 2 months.
Girls are often better in sort of adjusting.
Okay.
There you look at the child. Again, I mean, you
'Cause it's
can't
close
make a
enough to
hard and
18
fast
months.
rule. I can say when does separation anxiety start, generally. But with some children it's not. We've just taken in an 18-month-old and she is the most adorable, cuddable little thing that you can think of, and she fits in so well.
So you never know.
So you never know.
But as a rule of thumb, 9 to 18 months.
As a rule of thumb, yes.
Hi, my daughter's 18 months old. I'm still breastfeeding. When she has to go to daycare, how do I get her off the breast? That's from Nolene Fatima. That's a tough one.
Yeah, well,
That's separation anxiety twice,
yes,
really.
Yes, that is separation anxiety. I think, what are the options in terms of nutrition, fulfilling those nutritional needs? What are the options? Is it formula? Is it expressing? All those kind of things. But also to take the child through. She's 18 months. I love you. Let's go together for a visit to the school, show the environment you enjoy. Those kind of things need to be explored.
She doesn't need to be breastfed, though, at 18 months. I mean, for physical reasons. Would it not be better to get her off the breast, as clearly it's an emotional, bonding thing, before you take her to the preschool?
Yes.
That
yes,
would be better.
That's why I'm saying review the nutritional needs, I mean, she's definitely on solids right now, so that's why I said do the emotional preparation, go for the visits, those kind of things. It's more an emotional stuff there.
I'm a stay-at-home mum with an 8-month-old baby. What can I do to stimulate her so she's ready when she has to start play school? That's from Lee.
I've got a beautiful article about the relationship dance.
Yes.
That's what they call that mother-child relationship. See what your baby wants to do. Put out things, ordinary things like margarine tubs and Tupperware. My children played with Tupperware. I didn't use it for anything else.
Stuff, yes.
The pots and pans underneath the sink. Those things, fitting things into containers, putting the lids on. Ordinary things. You don't need to buy a lot of things. Involve your child in making garden, gardening, watering, feeding the dog, brushing the cat. Things like that is we're forming a bond, we're doing things together, and children love that.
I think most parents want the best for their children. In fact, I would go so far as to say nearly all parents want the best for their children, and they want to do the right thing. Obviously, when we choose a play school or a preschool, we want to make sure that it's accredited, that it is all the things we talked about. Are there any regulatory bodies, Robin, where a parent can go to see if schools are listed, anything like that, for play schools and preschools?
What is difficult is where a play school or a preschool fits is partly under the Department of Education, partly under the Department of Welfare, and then the Health Department also has a say in it.
Okay.
So it is not the easiest thing to say, yes, you can just go and find out what is exactly happening. They all have their finger in the pie. But the health departments should keep a register of all the registered preschools or play schools or even day mothers in their area.
How can a parent make sure their child is safe at a preschool? If there's no actual sort of governing body that is an umbrella body, what should a parent do to make sure their child is absolutely safe at the preschool they're at?
I would say the first thing to do is to get to know the teachers, get to know the other parents, and spend time at that preschool. As Elsie has said, and Fatima as well, you need to go and you need to actually visit that preschool, be there, make sure you've let them actually take over. Then watch your child. How are they when you pick them up in the afternoon? It's not so much the crying and the screaming when you drop them off, because all children go through that. It's more the, are we still crying and screaming when we get picked up in the afternoon? How are we behaving at home? Are we sleeping through the night and all that?
Fatima, if you had to put out your top tips as to what you would want parents to do to find the perfect play school, what would they be?
I think the most important thing is understand for yourself what is it that you want to instill in your child. And based on those principles and values, go out and look for that school that's going to meet that. Look at safety, look at hygiene, look at like Robin was saying, go and visit the school, see for yourself. Don't be afraid to ask questions, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to ask the teacher, how many years experience do you have? Don't be afraid. Meet with parents at the school. Chat to them. What's your child's experience? Sometimes you can pick up trends from other people's experiences. Chat to people whose children were at the school and no longer there also. So find out all those kind of tips.
Fact find.
Yes, definitely.
Elsie, your parting message to parents.
I think can I just add something to
Yes.
the mother who said what should she do with the 9 months? The most important thing, read stories. Read to your child. It is very important. The parting message. I think one thing that we should realize is that nothing we do with children is only for now. Everything is for later. And everything, whether it's good or bad, leaves a mark in your child. So you've got to look for the best place. And let's put play back in our lives, in our children's lives, in our schools. It is the way to learn.
Play and love.
Play and love. Yes.
Play and love. That is our message from all of us to all of you. Let me tell you, there is always going to be time for maths. I'm 36 and I'm still going to make time for maths one day. Durban mums, if you'd like double tickets to visit the Baby Expo in Durban this Friday, you can drop us an email right now. Now, the Baby Expo is on from the 28th to the 30th of August. It's at the Durban International Convention Centre. And let me tell you, the one in Joburg was fantastic. Durban's going to be even better. Also, before I go, on the 1st of September, we're doing the Spring and Eco Baby Show, and we're looking for mums to be part of our studio audience. So if you are keen and available on Spring Day, please drop us an email with all your details to greatexpectations@etv.co.za. Tell us how you plan to make your baby appreciate the world he or she lives in, and you can come and be part of our experience. And learn tomorrow how to be a media-sussed mama on our show. Goodbye, and remember, you are a great mummy.